Men of Reddit, what is the creepiest thing a girl has ever said or done to you? This was when my friends and I are still into the club live band scene back when we were in college. We went to one bar and have about a couple of rounds of beer. Not enough to get us drunk, but we were definitely having a good time that evening. Until two girls introduced themselves to us. One looked okay, but the other had a resting bitch face that was pretty to look. My friends were like, alright cool. Two girls making the first move, great, let's see where this goes. The second girl sat beside me, and from the get-go was so weird to me. She would place a beer in front of me and would say, chug that. I ignored it every time, and she didn't seem to mind, but things like that went on during the night. Almost like orders. She would say, dance with me, or take a shot, while her friend was conversing away with my other friends. Then out of nowhere, this weird girl, she transformed as if getting possessed, and just gave all of us this angry, spiteful look. Her eyes were just full of hate, and scratched one of my friends at the neck. To make things short, we noped the heck out of that place so quick. I sobered up instantly. On the drive home, my friends and I were just stunned silent. Girl I was dating asked if I had changed the locks since breaking up with my ex months prior. I'm like, no, but she wasn't a crazy person, so I never worried about it. She says if I don't change the locks she ain't comfortable sleeping over. So I changed the locks. This ex sent me an angry text the next day. So you changed your locks, huh? Real nice soul. So she had been coming over this whole time and doing who knows what. I started a new job, and I shared a small office with a woman my age and a couple other people. She was kinda cute, but also weird and super naive. She grew up in a very rural area. She'd flirt with me a lot, but I wasn't interested. So she started sending me emails. They were super long, detailing her whole day, and she sent them to me every day. I never responded. Then one day she sent me this long email confessing her love. I replied with the very obvious reasons why it wouldn't work and asked her to stop sending me emails every day. She didn't. They kept coming. This went on for months. I asked her in person and online to stop, but I still got these email memoirs every day. Eventually I had another female office mate who was her friend have a talk with her. Finally the emails stopped. Bonus, not too long after, I moved very far away, like other side of the world far away. Another office mate sent me an email after I had been there a few months asking me what city I lived in. I told her, and she wrote back that she had heard crazy MLer was moving there to the same small city halfway around the world. That couldn't be a coincidence, right? I asked the office mate for more details, and it got creepier and creepier. She was moving in my neighborhood. She had gotten a job nearby. She was looking for an old friend, etc. Met a girl at a corporate party with an open bar. She started off by being a touchier than I was comfortable with, and after having known her for all of 30 minutes she said, I want you to put a baby in me, Ryan. Bonus points, I'm not Ryan. When I was in grade school, a girl snuck up behind me in gym class to sniff my butt. I caught her in the act, and just felt gross. Assert dominance and fart right there. Someone I considered a friend started to grow feelings for me, but when she found out I had a girlfriend and I didn't feel the same for her, she found out who my girlfriend was somehow. She then d***ed her and tried to tell her that I was cheating on her with her and that I'm a pedo. The friend was a couple of years younger than us. Luckily I was with her when she got that DM, so I could explain the situation, and then we blocked her. Next day she d***ed her again from an alt account. In my early 20s I was at a party and the hosting woman full on tried to reach down my pants to grab my dung. Strange. Yes. What made it creepy is that we were right in front of her mother, who was cheering her on. Found out my address from the phone book. This was the 90s. Sat outside my house for multiple nights. All night just watching my house. I live in the middle of the woods miles outside of town. We only had one date and agreed to leave it at that. I found out sometime later what she had been doing. My ex got my name tattooed on her foot 3 years after we broke up. Not to me specifically, but my friend woke up with his pants off to a girl he had repeatedly rejected trying to get him hard. That was pretty creepy. Also, one of my old professors was stalked and harassed by his ex-girlfriend to the point where she was on a restraining order, and the last straw was when he got a new girlfriend. She straight up shot him, and he barely survived by luck. Stalked me for 5 years. After we broke up, she kept writing me letters at every address I lived at during that 5-year period. If she didn't have the address, she'd send them care of my parents. The most memorable is the one where she told me she was married and he's a great guy, but he's not you. Once, not long after I'd moved to a new address, I came home and found a box of cookies she'd FedExed to me. Eventually I moved to a new state. I knew from her return addresses that she lived and worked there, and was worried we'd run into each other, but realized that was pretty unlikely. Then after less than a year, she found me through a blog I was keeping and left a message on my voicemail demanding we meet. I posted a message to her on my blog telling her to stop harassing me or I'd call the police. Up to that point I'd been ignoring her, hoping she'd take the hint. That night she called. I repeated my threat to bring the authorities in, and I haven't heard from her since. I'm sort of a magnet for crazy girls. Or maybe it's just me, but the craziest thing a girl said to me was, "I wish I could lock you in a cage and throw away the key so no one else can come near you." Just me sounds fake and insane, but is incredibly true. Unfortunately, was with her for about a year and a half. She didn't lock me away, but anytime she found out I spoke to another girl, even if she was a co-worker, she would flip the heck out. She even forgot about the day we first met and proceeded to go mental, saying I was talking about another girl, and she then blocked me on everything until she remembered everything again. Took her about an hour, I'd say. Met this girl online and talked to her a bit. I started to like her. Later found out that the pic she showed me of herself was actually a pic of her friend who had passed away due to cancer. I've had a girl create about 50 different Snapchat, Facebook, and Instagram accounts, all to try to get me to friend her. I've never met this woman in person, and yet every few weeks I'll get a handful of friend requests from her. Okay, many years ago, I had a 92 Camaro which I kept in great condition and drove when I was on leave. One night, I'm driving home from a date when I get lit up. I check my speed and sure enough I'm doing 85 in a 55. Shit. I pull over and a policewoman approaches my car. License, registration, the usual. I fork everything over and she asks me if my car is a 92. I tell her that it is, and she starts asking me all kinds of questions about it. Have I done any engine work? Replaced the transmission or rear pumpkin? What kind of clutch do I have on it? Where did I get it from? I answer gamely enough, thinking maybe I might get a lesser ticket if she's in a good mood. One answer was that I bought it at auction a few years back. She tells me about how she used to drive a pursuit car that was a 92 Camaro, which was eventually sold at auction a few years back. Then she tells me how she lost her virginity in the backseat of that car. Well, okay then. Things started to get weird. She claimed there was a problem with my plate and ran mine in. Sure enough, it was the car she used to drive. She started flirting with me a lot, and not just flirting, but telling me about herself. She was a virgin until she was 27, because she's a devout Christian. But she eventually realized that God doesn't really care about premarital sex. She's tried every drug known to man by taking samples from evidence, but the only drugs she likes is coke and alcohol. She likes to party. After she saw my military ID, she starts telling me about a Marine she used to date and how they did it in public. How much she loves our troops. She wants to have kids, a boy and a girl. She can't see herself settling down though, unless it's with a cop or a soldier. I started out confused, but by the time she climbed into the back seat and was telling me that she'd like to recreate some old memories, I was getting freaked out. This is an adult woman, in her full police getup, in my backseat, basically proposing to me and offering to consummate the union right there, on the side of a road in an upscale suburb of Miami in the middle of the night. An image occurred to me of me coming home after dating and breaking up with her to find my next girlfriend dead. I couldn't shake it the whole time. I was scared in a way I hadn't ever been before. I made my excuses, claimed to have a girlfriend I did not, the date hadn't gone that well, and told her I had to get up early in the morning. She let me off with a warning and her phone number. I never lost a number so fast in my life, but I spent the rest of my leave getting spooked by every cop car I saw, thinking it was her. Consider subscribing if you enjoyed this video, and if you want to see more of Reddit universe.